for coming today. I appreciate it. All right, so to get started today, first of all, I'm Colleen Packer from Weber State University, and our outcomes today are for you to get some new strategies to enhance group engagement and to also learn some things that will get you on the right track, and that will make more sense later on, to get you on the right track for making breakout rooms more productive in virtual settings. So to get started this morning, I want you to think about your first thought when you look at your schedule and you see that you have a virtual meeting. Write it in the chat, just a couple of words, your first thought. How can I join it? Okay. Oh, have fixed my hair. Another meeting. How can I multitask? I think kill me now again. I'll get to see people. What time is it? Well, I need to multitask. I love that. Do I have to have my video on? Another meeting. I'm so sick of mass. I actually like Zoom meetings. Hope the technology works. Baron, I'm so with you on that, especially this morning. So when we all have different responses when we think about, oh, another virtual meeting, another Zoom meeting. And I want to share with you that oftentimes with students, they have those very same thoughts when they come to our classes. And last semester, I was teaching an interpersonal and small group communication class. And my students were in breakout rooms and they were supposed to be working on a task together. And when I went into the breakout room, this is pretty much what was happening. The only difference was that they all had their microphones off. So they weren't talking to each other. They weren't looking at each other. They were just sitting there. And with their microphones off, I knew they couldn't be talking. So at that point, I realized, all right, this probably isn't the best way to do breakout rooms. This isn't the best way to do trying to get my students engaged, because I thought I was doing everything so well. And obviously I wasn't. So today we're going to have you share some things that you do in virtual settings. Just overall, what do you do to engage your students? And so when we get into breakout rooms in just a second, the facilitator will be the person whose birthday is closest to the beginning of the calendar year. And the spokesperson will be the person whose birthday is closest to the end of the calendar year. So if you've got a January or December birthday, you are definitely going to be a facilitator or spokesperson more than likely. Then we'll have the facilitator will get to select the recorder, and the spokesperson will get to select the timer. So think about that as we're moving through your task today. And your task in your breakout rooms is to share one strategy that you use to engage students in virtual formats. So I'm going to give you about 2 minutes each. So work on around a 10-minute total. And you will be recording the strategies with on our Google Slides for the session. And just in case you joined us after the Google Slides, or excuse me, after I posted the link, you won't have access. So here is the link to the Google Slides. And just be prepared to share one idea with the rest of the group. All right, so do you have any questions on what it is that I want you to do for this breakout room? All right, I will maybe put you in breakout rooms. Okay, my 3 dots that I usually have aren't here. So Lily, I might need you to help me here. Can you open breakout rooms?
Yes. And how many participants would you like in each room?
About 4.
All right, so let's have maybe 6 different rooms. I'll go ahead and create those now.
So go in your breakout room and I will, okay, now I have it. Thanks, Lily. And I will, oh, wait. Can you unassign me so that I can send a message to them just to remind them what they need to do?
Yes, let me look for your name on here.
Hi, Mike. Thicker fuller hair. You're awesome.
I'm not sure how to remove you from a breakout room.
You go to the
But
end and you press move to, and then just move me up to the main room if you can.
okay, so there's 6 breakout rooms. Right now you're in room 4.
And then can you,
Maybe I'll try to move you to the first one. Would that work?
I need to be here, so because I need to be, well, or you can send a message to the breakout room. Share one strategy.
Put in task, share one strategy
To engage students.
to engage students.
And then send that. Okay, good. And then record strategies on the Google Slides. Okay, can we put Miranda, Ashley, Kent, and Mike into a breakout room of their own?
I believe so. I'm not sure why. They are assigned to a breakout room.
They are?
Mm-hmm.
They're ghosting us. Michael Johnson, you ghost you. All right.
Perhaps we could just do the breakout room here.
Yes, you guys could do the breakout room. That works for me. Thank you. If Mike is here, and is that Ashley or Miranda who is speaking?
Ashley.
That was Ashley.
Okay, Ashley. So Miranda, are you here? Oh, look, Violetta is here as well. So yeah, why don't you, if you can access the slides, just go to whatever slide you need and go to the next one down. If we've got 6, so go to slide 7 and write your information on slide 7.
Sorry, I cannot find how to access those slides.
Okay, does it not let you in?
I don't. Where are those?
Do you see
Because
the link?
she joined the session late, so she's not able to see the chat before she joined.
Oh, there you go.
So
There you go.
Yes,
I've
that helps.
resent that.
Okay, I hope that works. It better work because honestly, can you get to it?
That worked.
Praise Jesus. Okay. So just do what you can then, Ashley. You may be, Violetta, you can help Ashley. If I should have made it possible for one of the people to share their screens in the well, no, they can all see the link. You can go to the link on the Google Slides and you should be able to see it. Okay.
Should we just be group 3 then?
Is nobody on group 3? I would say be group 7.
Group 7, okay.
Because I know that we have 6 groups, and so group 7.
All right, I'm just putting my in there, and I'm gonna put my email in there.
Perfect, awesome. All right. We could probably
The
stop.
question is, what engagement strategies are we supposed to, how to do it over Zoom? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, just what engagement strategies have you used that have been useful for your students? And then we'll have a great big slide deck that has a lot of ideas. And then if you want to go back and ask somebody about that, you can. What time do we end, Lily?
I did broadcast a message that will be wrapping up in about a minute.
Okay. What time am I supposed to be done by? 10:55, right? 10:50.
Yes, 10:55.
10:55. Oh, we got gobs of time then. That's what I say. Okay. Can you give them one more message that says, be prepared to share one idea with the group? Since we only have a few, I think that'll work great.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, I'll go ahead and close
Okay,
all those breakout rooms.
That's great. Okay, it looks like we're slowly getting everybody back into the room. We'll give a few more groups a couple of seconds to get back in. I hope
they've
you had a
got 5 seconds left.
Yeah, they'll be here in a second then, right? They'll all be kicked out. And there you all are. Thank you. I hope that you had a good discussion. I know it was fast, and I hope you were able to get those ideas on the Google Docs. So let's just hear about some of your ideas. So group 1, share one idea with us very quickly.
All right, so one of the great ideas that I haven't seen anybody do is someone shared that they use Canva as a way to have the groups create something that works together with their group.
Oh, great, good. Group number 2, what was one great idea you had?
So one idea that we talked about was being willing to allow for silence, similar as you would in a face-to-face class, if you can handle it. We talked about sometimes that's really difficult to do, but allowing for silence can often give students time to think, process what you're asking, and give them a chance to provide feedback.
Great, thank you, Sarah. Group 3. We may not have had a 3. Group 4? Did we have 3?
Well, we don't know what group. We were 3, but we ended up writing in 4.
Okay, so go ahead and tell us what you did, Stephanie.
Okay, so I think one of the ideas that the 2 folks, well, I just share is collaborative note taking via Google Doc or Jamboard, or using those active tools and then using those as a guide to help you communicate with students when you want to bring them out of a breakout room versus just the chat function in the breakout, because it's easier to do that.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, group 4 or 5. Whoever wrote on slides for the group 5.
Well, excuse me, we talked about having a consistent group throughout the semester that students get to keep meeting with so that they can build a rapport with those with their group members, and that when they build that rapport and that relationship, that helps make them more likely to share than if it's people that they don't know very well.
Okay, great. Good idea. Thanks, Amy. And group 6?
Yeah, we talked about a bunch of different ideas, but Catherine shared that she uses Pear Deck, which plugs into Google Slides and allows her to put in questions and have people do annotations and comments and stuff right there. So that sounded like a great way to get everybody engaging on the material.
Yeah, I think that sounds fabulous. Thank you for sharing, Ben. And did we have another group beyond that? Are we good?
Yeah, this is Chris, group 8.
Chris.
In addition to using breakout rooms and small groups, one thing we've tried is virtual group presentations. So much like you do in a face-to-face setting, giving them very specific instructions. Everybody has to be involved in planning the presentation, and tremendous response to that from students.
Okay, good. All right, now I want to talk about what we've just done. And so as we think about what it takes or how we can be more effective with group with group discussions, etc., I want you to think about what we just did. And some of you know this already, and it's okay. It doesn't hurt to be reminded, right? So first of all, when you're in a breakout room, have time targets. And so today I gave you about 10 minutes. The shortest amount of time you can provide, the shortest amount of time that you think it will take to get the task done is probably the best, unless you have them working on something else. But 5 to 10 minutes is usually a good time frame, because that helps the students get right down to business and they know how much time they have to complete their tasks. The R is for roles. And today I gave you 4 roles. I gave you facilitator, who manages the meeting and gets people going. Gave you the reporter, who becomes the voice of the group when you come back into the large group. And then I gave you a recorder or a scribe to write things on the document. And then I also gave you a timer. And so that timer helps keep things on track and helps keep things going. You can have whatever roles that you would like, the roles that make sense for what you're doing. If you only have a small group, if you're putting them in triads, for example, maybe you only want a facilitator and a recorder, and you can separate those roles into so many ways. Today I did birthday month, but you could also do the oldest, the youngest, the person who lives closest to the institution, the person who went to bed earliest, and the person who went to bed latest. You can focus on who traveled the furthest to get to class today, or just a number of things. And so there are different ways that you can assign the roles. And I like to do just randomly, because then the same person doesn't always be the facilitator, etc. So roles will help you get you on the right track, and also assignments. And when I say assignments, I'm really focusing on what it is, the task that you have them do within the breakout room itself. So today I gave you a list of things that you needed to do. I also reinforced that on the Google slide. And then Lily was so kind to send you broadcast messages to remind you about what you needed to do. So you should have received at least 3 reminders about things that you needed to do while you were in the breakout room, the assignments that you had. And so time targets, roles, assignments, and then finally, common documents. Today, I had you work on a Google Doc, and that seems to be one of the best ways to do this. And I'm really interested in looking at slide deck, I think it was, because whoever mentioned that, I think Ben mentioned it from his group, because that may be a way to make it even more engaging. But when you have common documents, everyone can see how documents are coming to life, how they are being created. And I think there's some motivation there. If you see somebody else from another group sharing some information, well, you know, I need to get on our Google Doc and on our slide and make that information available from our group. And so there's also kind of a motivation that you get to see things as they get created. And it makes really, it just helps motivate. All right, so that's how I am going to encourage you to get on the right track for breakout rooms. And then what I want you to do is this. I want you to think about how you will foster virtual engagement in your own classes. And so I want you to go to Padlet, and I will stop sharing my screen so that I can see some things that I need. And I'll go ahead and put that link in the chat. Oh, wait. Maybe. There we go. Put that link in the chat. And I want you to, and I will go ahead and share that link with, or share our Padlet. And as you write, just think about something that you learned from this particular session that will help you with your engagement strategies as we continue in this wonderful virtual environment. Roles, good. Using shared documents. Exchange writing prior to meeting together. Collaborative software is huge, good. Common documents. Use reminders throughout the break room. That's really been helpful for me. Love the Google Slides, excellent. Roles seem to be important for making it work. Tech tools, yes. We may need to know about those tech tools, but that's a completely new and improved session. Okay. Timing, good. All right, it looks like we have a number of good strategies that you are going to be using. And I'm glad about that, because I want you to be able to take what we do today and use it in your classrooms so that your students will be more engaged. Just a sec. Thanks. Okay. Yeah. Okay, now there we go. So we've done that. We've done Padlet, and I really appreciate your feedback with that, because it looks like at least you're going away with some new things that you can use. And just to give you a sense of breakout rooms, Edmondson and Daly shared this quote in their article about how to foster psychological, safe virtual meeting environment. And they said breakout rooms with specific tasks or topics assigned to different groups provide a psychologically safe space to test ideas and build relationships. So this is one thing that I did not do. I did not have you do different things, but that's another thing that you could do, another strategy that you could use to have different groups answer different questions about a similar situation, so that when each group comes back, they're not getting the same information repeated. Rather, they're getting information that is new and fresh to them. And so that's another thing that you could do. It just didn't fit in my TRAC metaphor, so it didn't make it in. But I think that this is, I appreciated this comment from Edmondson and Daly regarding the fact that you can give specific tasks, different tasks to different groups. All right, so that is how to get on track and engage. So does anyone have any questions that, or just something that you would like to discuss? We've got a few minutes. I went very fast.
I have one question, Colleen, that I'd love your feedback on. Yeah, so one of my challenges is that, you know, like good work's happening in the small breakout rooms, but then when we come back to the whole group and I want to build from that, that sometimes just falls flat, because then people feel awkward again being in that, you know, bigger space, you know, with 30 plus people. I just wondered if you could speak to that a little bit.
Sure. Having the reporter helps that. Today, each of you knew who was going to report, and you were just Johnny on the spot, quick to respond. And so I think it also depends on how the class, what the climate is with the classroom from day one. And I think that would start with doing some icebreaker type activities at the beginning of the semester, so that the students do feel comfortable going back and forth. And because with me, it was terrible in the breakout rooms. I couldn't believe it when I walked in I popped in 3 breakout rooms and nothing was happening. And so it was even worse when they did come back. So Jessica, I think that's a really good question. And so I think assigning the roles and creating a positive climate, a climate where the students feel comfortable with each other. I know that's not easy to do with a large class. My class sizes are very small, and so it's much easier for me to do that. Does anyone else have any suggestions for Jessica? Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, so I had the similar situation. It's like when we come back in the large group and you ask a question, unlike in a classroom, even if you've tried to create that sense of community, there's just crickets. And one thing I think that I need to do better at is make sure that if someone has something to say, you've got to be able to have a way for them to raise their hand virtually or say something in the chat, so then you can call on them when they're ready to speak. Because otherwise, I think it's even harder to encourage folks to speak up. Now, you might still have 1 or 2 that are really, really kind of zealous, right, and very outgoing. And I think it's even compounded, even worse to have to deal with those folks in an online setting. So that's just one. Other ideas, because I'm all ears.
Stephen in the chat says that he uses random cold calls, letting them know beforehand that he'll be doing this. And, you know, there's been studies. In fact, one of my colleagues from Boston University has done some, or no, not Boston. She's in Boston. She's at Northeastern. She has done a lot of research on cold calling that in the classroom itself, but students are generally more prepared, especially when they get called on once and they're not prepared. They don't want that to happen again. And so if they're aware of it, the chances are they will be more likely to do it. And you can give them a pass, you know, if they won't say, I pass, give them 1 pass. But after that, no, you know, they have to share what they're thinking. Any other questions or ideas?
I have been a big proponent of using the Google Docs so that you can kind of monitor what's going on with the group. So I really love the use of the Google Slides. so that you can see, you kind of have a snapshot on the left-hand side that's pre-built in, and you can see what's happening in the group. If people are adding stuff to it, if they're not, you could jump into that group and help guide and direct them. You could also scan through there briefly before the groups are finished so that you can make comment on what was happening in the groups. If you saw something that you thought was particularly interesting, I think sometimes it takes the instructor saying, hey, I saw this great idea from group 5. Will you guys please talk more about that? And then that gives them some confidence in saying, oh, the instructor, you know, really thought that this was a good idea. Now I'm willing to share more.
Right. And if they've got the link, which I hope that you copied the link, you now have a whole bunch of ideas and you know who to contact about that idea if you want to follow up on it. So it can be used as a resource later on for the students. So I really like Google Slides or Google Docs, whichever. Both of them are wonderful. And the other thing I will do is post the link in my Canvas course so that students can access the slides if they, for some reason, can't find it on their own computer. Anything else?
I think for me, something that I have to remind myself constantly about is not to be afraid of those awkward silences. And then sometimes just kind of stating the elephant in the room can help a lot. When there is an awkward silence, I'll bring in humor and say, who wants to be the hero and save us from this awkward silence? And it really makes it realize, you know, she's not going to move on. Someone has to say something or else we're going to be sitting here longer. And usually after once or twice of this, students do a little bit better.
I love that. I think that's great. Mike says that he uses breakout rooms for Jigsaw, but it takes a little time to set up the second round. And I can attest to that because I have used that as well. If you have a TA, use that TA to set up the Jigsaw rooms. That's absolutely right. He also uses Google Jamboard, which is similar to Padlet. I've only used Jamboard once and I didn't dare do it today. I went with Padlet because I had used it before. I felt more comfortable with it. But yeah, Google Jamboard is awesome. It's really fun. I've seen it demonstrated. Let's put it that way. All right, we've got just a couple more minutes left. Do you have anything else that you would have questions about or that you would like to ask our group? Because this is a great group.
Colleen, not a question, but just a comment. I really appreciated where you had like the group share one strategy when we came back in, because sometimes when groups come back in and you have someone who really wants to share everything that they talked about, then the other groups don't have an opportunity to share. So I appreciate that structure that you added. So that way we knew like we had one idea to share and that's it.
Well, thank you, Hope. I appreciate that a whole bunch. It makes it
I just I wanted to comment real quick, just lastly, and I know we're wrapping up here on the Jigsaw. I just did it in class Tuesday. I couldn't believe it worked. I mean, I can't believe it. It worked great. But what I did is, and what saved time is I had the students rename themselves using the rename drop down to the expert group. So when they came back and I wanted to put them back into home groups to share out, it was like 30 seconds. Because I wasn't managing names. I was just looking and I went from breakout rooms 1, 2, 3, moved those names. And then the best part is I used in Jamboard too. So the expert groups created Jamboards that then they used to teach the small home groups. So I want to say I love all these ideas today. You all have inspired me even more. Thank you, because we need it and our students need it. So thanks.
Thank you, Stephanie. And just to brag on Stephanie a little bit, she just was chosen as one of 12 people at the university for the Presidential Excellence in Teaching Award. So hooray for Stephanie. It's a great honor for her.
Thanks, Colleen.
You're very welcome. And with that, I'm going to let you go a minute early. Woo! Be engaging, stay on the right track, be brilliant, and make the world a better place. I love you all. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Colleen. This was fantastic.